Alrighty, y'all. Well, so day after Memorial Day, boy oh boy, I ate a bunch of junk yesterday. It was amazing. But today, we're going into our few days of just taking a break from the gym, going through a little recovery period. It's good to do every so often, especially after finishing up a hard training block. Is just give the body some time off. It'll do it good. But so, since we're doing that, I've got a gazebo that we're going to end up building today. Or should I say, start working on building today. It'll probably take me 2, maybe 3 days to do it. I'm going to do it by myself. So, going to have a little few obstacles to get around on that, but we'll get it done. So basically, last summer, if you guys remember, I poured this curb, this slab, dug these down, piped those two bottom ones together, put this one here, poured all the concrete around it, pulled power out to this post. I've got a set of outlets here on one switch, which powers this, another empty outlet plug that's there. The other switch runs over to that pole over there. It's got an outlet on it. Then that's got an LED light that runs all the way around the backyard on it. Brought in a bunch of rock. Got most of that done. I got to order some more to go around the front of the sheds here. But then we brought in all the rock that's over there, poured those curves that are there, dug in a drainage ditch, and put in a tile line because there's some flooding issues on that side going into the basement door and stuff. But all the dirt I had to dig out for that all ended up back here, bringing up that height line there because this was all super low compared to the fence. So we brought it up to about the same height. So I've got my boxes of gazebo parts over here. So I'm gonna get those opened up, go grab my speaker, and I'll get you guys set up on a time lapse here in a few moments. Alrighty guys, so now that I've got everything unpacked, which I'll show you here in a second after this first little step, we talk about what we got going on. So the first step that they have you do inside of this kit is they provide you with 4 of these little plastic anti-rot post bottoms, basically. That way it holds it up off of whatever you're setting these on. Normally you're going to be on top of some sort of concrete. Whether you pour a slab, you got sitting on blocks, you pour tiny little footings for these things, and then you're just kind of mounting them. So what they do here is they provide you with these, which keeps it from wicking water up into the wood. I already like that. There's quite a few companies that don't do that. Now, one thing I can say I don't like so far is there is definitely an absurd amount of, obviously, fasteners that go into something like this. Which isn't the problem. The problem is so like me, who, blind. The problem lies in the printing on this is kind of blurry, as well as it's extremely small. So like I had to read it with my camera,
I'm going to have to do that for every single one of the little screw bags, and then I'm just going to have to put them in specific places so that way I know where they are. That way I don't have to try to reread them every single time, which is incredibly annoying. It would be nicer to have, like, if you guys have assembled a bunch of furniture or anything, or some other projects I've worked on that obviously provide fasteners with it, is everything's on those cardboard sheets with big numbers on it that are bold, they're clean, and then everything's just vacuum sealed to the top of that. That is the best way a company can package and send hardware, in my opinion, for a, build it at home kit of anything. Whether it's furniture, a gazebo, a shed, doesn't matter much. Bold print, make it easy to find your fasteners. Because not everyone has great vision, which is what it is. But that's so far basically the only negative I've ran across at this given point. But just to show you guys, this is what the print on this looks like. So pretty small, hard for me to read. And let me go ahead and show you. That is a lot of different fasteners, many different sizes. And then that's all of our parts. The parts, they're all pretty, for the most part, self-explanatory. There's no tags or labels on them. But no big deals there. So I'm going to go ahead and get these little caps thrown on here. A lot of this is going to be repetitive, so I'm not going to go over every single little step as we repeat it, but we will cover a majority of these steps. So, I will say this cap is very nicely sized. It is pretty much perfectly flush all the way around. That is nice. If they're a little smaller, that's okay, but I've ran into times where these things are like a slight bit larger, which then it makes it very hard to put the plates on that hold these down later. So, as you can imagine, that would get pretty annoying to have to shave these things down to kind of like trim them up, basically. But screw quality, they're nice and sharp. They dig right in. That's nice. So now I will say one thing. I don't mind it because the post is just as strong as it's going to be either way. These are hollow. They are not solid beams, which I don't mind. Makes them lighter, easier to work with. Not a big deal. I'm probably going to go pick up some stain and treat these things. Just because I live here in New England and it rains a bunch. Granted, it's cedar. They'll just gray out and eventually kind of turn black over time as it ages. But I might stain this like a walnut color or something. Something already kind of brown and dark to start with to make it nice and neat. But so far, like this part of it. Alright, so what I went ahead and did here is for my next part, I've got to build the front 2 posts, cross beam, and basically a gable support post is what it would be if you were building a house. So I had to find all my brackets. We've got 2 center brackets. We've got 2 inside ledger brackets, 2 face brackets for the through plate. We've got our center upright, that would be a gable support, quote unquote. Our 4 pieces that are going to make our header. I'm assuming for one, straightness of material, finish of material, ease of packing, things like that. They're not going to make these things at full width. So they went ahead and sent them. They're duplicates of each other, but they're only like 5 feet wide or so. Total width of the posts is 10 feet 9 inches and change. Total length of post to post will end up being 11, basically exactly 12 feet. It's like a quarter short. So with that, they just break it up, makes it super simple for them to manufacture. I kind of like it, makes the parts easy to handle, things like that. So we've got all of our pieces laid out. I went and found all of the bolts. There's 2 different length bolts that go in the corner posts because of the bracket thickness, adds a 1/4 inch to one of the bolts. Found the bolts for the center that go through, as well as the lag bolts that go through the bottom of the L plate into the center. And so now we're basically ready to go ahead and assemble this chunk. So I'll go ahead and hop into a time lapse of doing that, and then we'll have to duplicate it one more time after that. Alright, so first page of getting this one section done. Pretty simple so far. The only thing is like having to support the bottom while trying to put a nut on, while trying to get the boards, the 3 chunks of boards to align. This one here, definitely the hardest because you got 5 pieces you're jiggling around. But once you get the first bolt in, not a big deal. It all kind of somewhat lines up after that, and you're just trying to hold it up for a little bit. So now that that part's done, next step is to put in our corner braces. Which are these cool little designer pieces here, so it gives it a little bit of architectural flair. They'll just sit up in here like this. We got a few different fasteners for that. So let me go ahead and switch this back into time-lapse mode. I'll get that part knocked out.
Alrighty, y'all. Well, I've gone ahead and got this first section done up here. That's where we're going to leave off for today. I'm liking the way it looks. Definitely thinking I'll probably for sure excuse me, end up staining it. You kind of want it a little darker than it is. So that'll be where that kind of stays for the day. But let me show you. Zoom out here. So that's the width it's going to be. We'll end up centering it up here inside of the slab and whatnot once it's all built, and I can square it up, and then we can shift it around as need be. But that is what the big front and back will look like, and then obviously we'll have our upper trusses that come up to that to finish out that gable end. And then there's also a diagonal that goes from here to here, I think, or it's this way. I think it's like this. It goes from here to here, and that's what these two bolt holes on each side are for, is for the those pieces there, so that way it'll support the roof truss, because it is rated for 3,500 pound snow load and 70 or 100 mile per hour. I think it's 100 mile per hour winds. So with that, that's where we're going to leave off for today. I got to go get all this stuff cleaned up. And then what we'll do tomorrow is I'll take this thing, I'll get it flipped up, and I'll grab some of my 2x6 form boards over there, and I'll go ahead and just clamp it together. So that way it's got some diagonal bracing, just holding it up so it doesn't blow over in the wind. And then we'll go ahead and we'll get the second support built. I'll get that stood up hopefully tomorrow, and we will get the connecting trusses or headers that go from front to back put in, and then we'll be looking good there. Then we get to go ahead and start on the roof. So that's going to be tomorrow's goal, is just getting the second one built. Now that I know how the parts all kind of go here, the second one will probably go much faster. Then I got to figure out how the little connectors go together, get them connected up, and I'm hoping that'll be tomorrow's goal. So, and then we'll knock out roof panels after that, or at least getting the roof built. I've seen some people kind of build them on the ground and slide them up as full assemblies. Might try to do that, but I'm sure they are heavy if I go to do that. So I'll have to build some sort of like little ramps to slide them up on with stop blocks to go ahead and kind of catch it as we go along. Because man, oh man, that would suck to get tackled by that thing, huh? But I'm real pleased so far with the way it kind of goes together. There's not much per se instructions. It's just kind of follow the pictures. Which I got to zoom in on my phone to kind of see what's going on and what numbers they're calling out for hardware and stuff. So that's kind of what takes me the longest, is just trying to find the hardware and having to zoom in and stuff and use my camera to do so. But either way, we're getting it done so far. And hope you guys kind of enjoy the change of pace on the video style here. You know, just a little build video. The little quick time lapses will get a little music thrown in on them, as you guys have already heard by this point. And I'm just kind of enjoying the little rest period here from training. I'm hoping this won't take me more than like 4 days. I'm thinking if I just kind of do a chunk at a time, and then I can stain it on a rest day when we go into our next training block, because I don't want to be out of training for too long, that's for sure. But man, I like it. It's so far, it seems to be worth the money they charge for these things. So with that, guys, make sure you're out there working toward your goals, getting your stuff done, and most of all, just don't be a lazy fuck.